I'm happy to introduce Dejanira. Dejanira Mendoza Dominguez. It's a mouthful. She is a very dynamic young woman with a lot of talent and a lot of really interesting experiences in her background that have brought her to Canada and to what she's pursuing now. And I'll let her tell you her own story. We invited Dejanira to come and speak to us as part of the Roads to Research series as a result of her contact with Bernard Schissel. And her husband is a student here in the Doctorate of Social Sciences program. But she has her own claim to research expertise, as you'll see from her presentation. So I'm so happy to be able to present Dejanira to you today. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to meet you all, and thank you for coming. Thanks to Bernard and Gwen for making this happen. Marilyn was very kind at introducing me. She forgot to say that I am a simple woman. I studied to be a chemical engineer and a project manager. And the research and pilot project that I am presenting to you is not my full-time job. Therefore, you may find a lot of gaps, but I am happy to hear from you. And once again, it's a very simple topic. It is one of my passions, and it is a way for me to give back. The topic is the underprivileged world we must look. I am focused mostly in children. So today I will share with you about me, where everything started, the work that I have done, the model that I have developed, and the missing links. There are 4 dates in my life that took me to where I am today and that allow me to wonder about this topic. And those 4 dates or markers are 1981, 2003, 2010, and the period between 2013 and 2015. Some may say that I was a gift for my mom. The reality is that I was a painful gift for her. In 2003, I moved to Canada and decided to make my life here, which brought a lot of good for me. 2010, we left, my husband and I left on a motorcycle trip for 26 months. And between 2013 and 2015, I did a lot of work in Mexico with marginalized communities. Oh, and I forgot to say I have an accent, so please pay attention. So like I said, I am going to share with you first about me. This is me on the right and my mother on the left. We both were underprivileged. Different kind of underprivilege, but the same kind of underprivileged. My mother came from a family of wealthy people, of white people, and my grandmother had 20 brothers and sisters, and my grandmother made the mistake to marry a Mexican, a native Mexican. And why was that a mistake? Because he wasn't white, he wasn't what the family desired, therefore my mother wasn't like, and my uncle wasn't like. Therefore, I wasn't like either, because not only I had a grandfather, but I also didn't have a father. I was a bastard child. That didn't stop my mom from doing a great job and always providing us with education, with activities to complement our mediocre education that we had in Mexico. Can you hear me well? Yeah? Great, okay. So that didn't stop her from feeling bad about herself and not doing a good job. The opposite, being underprivileged, being marginalized, helped her to do better and to do a good job as a mother. She made a mistake, she had us without a father, but she moved on, and I forgave her for that. However, all the good job, all the good work that she did wasn't enough for me because I was always upset since I was a child. I was always wondering, why am I a problem? Why am I not liked? Why am I not love? Why is that my color isn't good enough? Why is that being poor is a bad thing? Why is that speaking the truth is a bad thing? Why is it that not having big boobs is a bad thing? Why is it that all these things that I don't have or that I do are a bad thing? I just couldn't comprehend. And my mother always told me, you know, Deja, it is better to be exploited than it is to be marginalized. So just move on, do your work, do your best, and never stop trying. One day you will find your own path. She also forced me to study, and study constantly. I can remember being busy since I was born, and I can remember things. And by the age of 6, I was already working, cleaning houses, and learning how to treat people, because I did have an attitude as well. And I began a little business at the age of 7, selling bubble gum and peanuts and whatever I could sell. She taught me how to sell it, how to market it, how to save it, how to make it into something. And by the age of 10, she forced me to study my first career, which was as an esthetician. And that lasted for 4 years, and by the age of 14, I already had a career. I could make money, I could save money, I could make my own decisions about money, and I saved all my money so that one day I could escape. And I did. By 2003, I had enough. I thought, this is okay, this is a beautiful country, but I am upset for most of the time, and I can't live like this. I have to do something. So I traveled a few times before 2003 to Canada, and I fell in love. I noticed that people spoke to me as equal. I noticed that my poor English was good enough to communicate at that point. I noticed that people walk freely and they didn't have to worry about safety or anything. I noticed opportunity. So before I finished my university studies, I decided to do my last 6 months of practicum in Canada. And I found an opportunity to do it. And I came to Canada for 6 months to do my practicum and went back to Mexico to graduate with an offer to work. I came back with a visa to work, I worked, I became a permanent resident, and then a citizen back in 2009. And throughout all that, I met my wonderful husband. So why did I say that Canada saved me? Because it made me free. It made me free in many ways. From traveling, I always desired to ride a motorcycle, but in Mexico, it was not possible for many reasons. Number one, I am a woman, so I must not have the brains to ride a motorcycle. And second, because it is not safe. The people don't have the skills to notice motorcyclists, and that may happen all over the world, but simply people don't have the culture. When I came to Canada, one of the first things I did, and I have to say also thanks to my husband and my mother-in-law, I became a writer. And I rode all over the place, all the way to the Arctic Circle and more. I also made great friends. There is something in the brain of people outside of Canada, I guess Latin America, that tells them that Canadians are cold. And I can testify for that. Yes, we are cold here, but because of the weather. But generally speaking, I found that the friends that I made were lasting, were helpful, were productive, had timings for everything. Yes, the party is between 2 and 4, but I love that because then I can do whatever I want after 4 and before 2. And all these things that I appreciated were finally coming to me, and I felt in peace. I felt accepted. I felt a part of the society, where in Mexico, I never felt like that. Then in 2010, my husband and I decided to enact a part of our plan. We have had a plan since we got married, because we wanted to make the difference in our own lives. We decided not to have kids. Therefore, we also needed to ensure that the time that is spent with kids is spent somewhere else and somehow. We made a good plan for 10 years, 3 years, 1 year, and when 2010 arrived, we decided to enact that part of our plan, which was to travel on our motorcycles across the Americas. And we did that with the objective to learn to live better, with the objective to see what was happening outside of our world. Because even though this world is wonderful, where we are right now, it's not everything. And especially in Canada, where there are people from all over the world, I myself, being an immigrant, don't understand why people act in certain ways. I also had a personal objective to reconcile with my country, to go back to Mexico and see from a different perspective after so many years if Mexico was the problem or if it was me. Well, guess what? I discovered I was the problem because I had so many internal deficiencies that I couldn't tackle before, but with more knowledge, more maturity, I was able to go back to Mexico, go down to the Copper Canyon, find that Mexico is the same. It hasn't changed. In fact, it has got worse. And the reason why I say worse, and these are not bad news, there are many good things about Mexico, but for example, in this picture, down in the bottom, this is krill, and down in the bottom is batopilas. And what we found there was so many young kids, 15, 14, 17, with brand new trucks. How do you explain that? Brand new trucks with plates from other states doing what? We can only assume that they were doing business. Now, what kind of business? Not the business that I would like to see my kids doing. We had a good time. I was able to digest the information. I had a lot of time in my helmet to think. I have many other things to worry about anyway. And slowly, I accepted that that was Mexico's reality, but my reality was at that point different. So as we travel, we work with communities, we help communities in a way that we knew how to help. My mother has always, through her school, she has a beauty school, she has always delivered services to marginalized communities by providing with haircuts and treatment of lice. And so when we were in Mexico traveling, we assisted by going with her, delivering clothing and whatever items they were in need of. We also needed to stay in touch with our careers, and we created a research in operational improvement methodologies, trying to find out what companies out there are doing to improve their processes. And we went knocking in doors and saying, hey, here we are, Brian and Deja from Canada, and we are doing research on this topic. Can you allow us to see what you are doing? And here is how we do it. Here is a questionnaire. We will ask you some questions, and then we will go into your facility and find out about your process. It kept us busy. It kept us in touch with professional people and interesting things, and we were also able to see other aspects of cultures, which is employment and business. We also had very funny times and dangerous times, accidents that sometimes didn't put us in the hospital, but sometimes they did. And that was also very interesting because we got to see what the medical system is. And if we complain in British Columbia and in Canada that our system is terrible, let me tell you about it in other countries. We also met wonderful people like Professor Kai from Germany, who built his own motorcycle. And that was very enriching to meet people from other countries, some of them from more developed countries than ours. And we saw beautiful places as well. Machu Picchu is beautiful, but the road to get there and the journey to get there is the most wonderful thing. So when we finished our motorcycle trip, which was over 16 countries, total of 73,000 kilometers, I should tell you the route, Vancouver to Alaska, across Canada, across the United States, all the way to Argentina, and from Argentina back to Cuba, and from Cuba to Mexico, and Mexico back to Canada. Now, I don't even mention Cuba because Cuba is a different animal altogether. When we finished our motorcycle trip, we went back to school. And why did we go back to school? Because during our research in operational improvement methodologies, we found out that leadership and project management was lacking everywhere, absolutely everywhere we went. From a business perspective and from a community perspective, from many perspectives, we were lacking these skills. So we thought it's a good opportunity for us to go back and gain some more skills that can help us to be more productive individuals, more desirable individuals. We went back to school. Brian came back to Royal Oaks University. I went back to UBC. When I finished, we decided to go back to Mexico for 2 years to work on some projects, but also to give me the opportunity to work with a community, to be able to enact all those thoughts that I had collected and that I was eager to use, to put in practice. And we chose Yucatan, which is a state very close to Cancun. Cancun is a city, and the city that we picked in this state of Yucatan is Mérida. Why did we choose Mérida? Because it is the safest place in Mexico. We went through the entire country, and we found this place, and we loved it, and we felt confident that there we could speak our minds, we could help, we could be helped, we could interact without having to worry about safety. And we found a community, a small community there, that already had an after-school program. And this after-school program took kids from the community. When they finish school, they can come to this center to learn arts, to learn English, and to do their homework. When the parents finish work, they could come and collect the kids and take the kids home. So in this center, we were able to volunteer our time and in delivering English classes, in English lessons. We like English, but we also thought that cooking lessons would be fun for the kids. And we proposed cooking lessons, and the cooking lessons were accepted. And it wasn't just about the cooking. It was about teaching the kids something that they could use daily, something that they can go home and say, hey, Mom, I know how to make this, and now let's make it and have another possibility. The kids love it. We had kids from 6 to 12 years old, and they cook, we ate. We also taught them how to use the utensils, and the homework was always to go back home and not make a list, we had the list, but cost all the items so that they knew and they learned how much it cost to make that recipe. Of course, we have to pick recipes that were quite simple and affordable because these are underprivileged kids. Probably most of them with just a mother. We also had a group of young individuals, most of them brothers or sisters of these little kids. And to these young individuals, we deliver workshops on planning and envisioning their lives. We were more successful with the kids. As we get older, we are more difficult. And as we became familiar with these kids, we thought, how else can we support them? How else can we help them? And in 2014, we connected with a Canadian organization, and we asked them if they could come and deliver the leadership training that they had. And they did. They delivered 17.5 hours of leadership to 21 girls, ages 10 to 16. And the training was fabulous. It was encouraging, the kids enjoyed it, they had fun. At the end of the training, I asked for feedback. How did you like this training? Is this what you were expecting? What are you going to do with it? And the feedback was very clear and simple. Yes, the training and the experience was good, but now what? What are we going to do with this? We don't know what are we going to do with this. And you come and do this to us, and now what? They see beautiful women coming to deliver this training. They see white women, tall and rich, because that is the perception that people have of Canada and the United States. Now what? How can we do the same and then if they are beautiful and we are not? We are chubby, we are flat, we are ugly, all these things. So that really put everything again into perspective for me, and I thought, what have I done? What can I do now? What can I do better to support this community? They have the intention to do better, but they don't know how. So all the information that I collected from the parents and the kids through inquiry, just being very conscious about now is the time to inquire, it's the time to find out what they really need, because my selfish need to help is evident. I am being selfish by doing something to them. Not only they are poor and underprivileged, but here's what I'm gonna do to you because I have the need to help. Now what? How can I really help you? Well, the first step for me was to listen, to inquire and to really listen. What do you appreciate about this? Well, I appreciate that my kids have a safe place to go. I appreciate that my kids are not thinking about boys. In this case, they were all girls, but the same goes for boys. I appreciate that they feel useful. I appreciate that they come home and they have new ideas. I appreciate this, and that. Okay, and what would you like to see happening? We would like to learn how to do more, how to use our voice, how to work together, and how to create something, how to make money. At the end, it boils down to money. We need to know how to make money. So I thought, okay, the outcome of whatever work I do has to be more tangible, because yes, we strive to create professionals, but in Mexico, we can create 1 million professionals and it will be professionals without jobs. So why do we need more professionals? And what if the kid wants to be just a mother? Just a mother. Well, why do we have a problem with that? Why do we think that we have the power to decide what the kids should do? So, okay, we can create mothers, professionals, entrepreneurs, fundraisers, or other. I need to really listen to what they need and to extract from them how is that they are going to get there. So my model proposes that a level of education needs to be delivered to these kids so that they can use that to create something. And it doesn't have to be the typical education that we have in a school. We need to listen to them and say, and ask, what kind of education do you need? I believe that leadership and project management will help you, but is this what you really need? Okay, educate. And then incubate them, put them to work together so that they manage and to learn to work together. And as we incubate them, we are also feeding them more. Integrate them. We can integrate them by connecting them with the reality. I know that there are regulations about what kids can do and can't, but they don't need to be paid and they don't need to work. But simply we can find opportunities for them. We can help them find opportunities so that they can relate all the knowledge that they have been using and learning in this little incubator and actually put it into practice. It will be more clear what I mean as I go through and finish the presentation. And then finally, give back. We need these kids in these marginalized communities to help other kids. Because yes, we have the power to help, but it's not sustainable when we come to a community and we bring something and then we leave, then what? It's not sustainable and it's not fair to them. So what I created was a pilot project in essence. After the leadership training was delivered, I decided to inquire, and then I moved on with their permission to create projects, to get these little girls and create projects that they decided to do and help them throughout by delivering more training in project management, but hands-on. So I delivered 70 hours approximately of project management training, only to 17 girls. 4 girls dropped out. They didn't find more value or couldn't make it anymore. And the intention of the program was that at the end, they had an event where they could showcase their projects and raise money to help someone who is even more marginalized or more underprivileged than them. 4 different projects were conducted. The girls selected their projects. I was very clear with all the adults that we need to let these kids decide for themselves. They are going to make mistakes, but it's going to be a learning experience. There were 4 teams. They picked their name, and one of the teams decided to collect clothes to sell these clothes during the event, as well as they will deliver basic beauty services during this event. So they will have to learn throughout the project how to do braids. Another team decided to make piggy banks and put them in businesses so that people can just drop money, and then the day of the event, these piggy banks will be brought to the event, and they didn't have to do a lot. The other kids decided to create piggy banks and sell them during the event. And one team decided to collect recyclable materials to allow the community to make crafts during the event in exchange for a donation. The funds raised, like I mentioned before, will be donated to a specific community or group or person that they decided to. We had volunteers all throughout, and the only money that they got was less than $10, 100 pesos, about $8. And there is no project without money. So they needed some money to either take a bus or buy some paper to make their presentations. They needed some money somehow. So here are the 4 teams with their flag that represented them. Las Cochinitas, Pix Alcancías, La Casa de las Manualidades. And I was told, please keep this simple because these are kids. And I have always thought that kids are smarter than us, but we always undervalue their capacity. And we can't do that. I can't do that to kids. I need to do the opposite. I need to encourage them to think because they have better solutions than us and their mind is fresh, so why not to exploit that? So I use the same formats that I will use in an executive environment, in work, in anywhere. I did not minimize their capacity. So team agreement, project charter, project management plan, status report, and closing report. Exactly the same. Of course, these papers and this training is valuable, but during the project, what we worked on was teamwork. We had fun. We did presentations so that they can invite people to their event and also to collect the materials that they needed. In English and Spanish, both. Unfortunately, or fortunately, we got more support from the foreign community than from the locals, but the purpose and the intention is to continue to raise awareness that this is your problem. You have to help your own people to solve it. Planning, inventory control, and we didn't need computers or expensive equipment to help them learn very basic things that are needed in work, in real environment, in real life. More planning, learning how to braid, marketing in a piece of paper, and personal leadership. At the end, it was a formal process where they got the money and they wrote a letter to donate this money. This is during the event. Another big thing in this picture, handling money. They never had seen that much money in their hands. And it was a benefit to the community because the price of the clothes was very cheap, very cheap. They could not find that anywhere else. Volunteers. The results. The girls ran the event completely by themselves. They had a couple of hiccups here and there, disagreements, problems, but at the end, they resolved everything. They started with 400 pesos. They expected to create 3,950, and they actually raised 8,838 with 70 cents. The projects were completely based on the donations. We utilized the local media. So imagine these underprivileged girls who are barely able to speak about them, about what they need, now in the media talking about what their event is about, their projects are about. This is a group. And this is one of the project's performance. So they met their vision, objectives, deliverables, And as you can see, the plan for this group, for this team, was to raise 1,000 pesos. And they actually raised 4,846. So they felt pretty good about it. And during the lessons learned, they were very clear that if they can do this for someone else, why couldn't they do it for themselves? If some other people trusted on them, believed on them, why couldn't they believe on themselves? And for me, the major lesson learned was that I needed to listen. I needed to force myself to listen to these kids. So what is next? We went from educating, incubating for a period of time, and now I am looking into integrating. But I am not there. I am not in Mexico, and I'm not intending to make that my full-time job, especially since my boss's wife is here. No, I am serious. This is something I want to do forever, but it's not my job. So the girls have been they have been kept busy every month going to a workshop to learn something that is going to lead them towards the integration part, whether it is a business that they create or an opportunity that they find in a company to do some volunteer work, something that they will finally decide to do, or perhaps going to university, or perhaps they decide to become mothers, and we can support them with finding a course on how to be a full-time mother with a part-time job or something. And I want to tell you a story before I continue with what is next, but during this, I was able to participate in these workshops at the beginning, and then I have to come back to Canada, and now the workshops are happening with my partner in Merida. But in one of the workshops, the bank manager came to teach the kids about banking. And the kids were excited. Nobody in the community has a bank account. They don't even know if they can go in the bank. I maybe forgot to say that in Mexico, everything is class and caste. So people from the south don't go to the north. And if they go, it's all new to them. They never have seen a water tap that runs water efficiently and things like that. So after the workshop in banking, I took one of the kids to the bank to open an account with 500 pesos. And I was so angry, and today I feel angry still, that the bank manager, or in this case, the bank representative, opened the account for this girl and never told her that she had the right to choose insurance. She told her that she had to have the insurance. The insurance for this bank account is 60 pesos per month. So in less than 1 year, the 500 pesos will be zero. And so I explained why. Show me where does it say that this girl has to have the insurance? Show me where, because she has nothing. She's poor. What is she going to lose? If the insurance is good for something, it's not good for her. Well, no, we can void it. No, yes, you don't supposed to put it. It doesn't apply. It's only if the client wants it. So we eliminated it. Second thing that happened, in the flyer from the bank, it said that kids will get a backpack when opening an account. She didn't get a backpack. And I asked to speak to the manager and said, you better bring something right now. Whatever that is, bring a pig, bring a chicken, bring whatever. But you are not letting this kid go without something. You promise something, you have to give it. Just because she's poor? No, because if the daughter of the president of the city came to open an account, you will make a party. What is the difference? Not only these kids are poor, but they are marginalized, and we don't have the right to do that. But yet, when we work as an organization to provide with a service, we are not changing anything from the very, very bottom. So what the kids, I guess what I'm saying is what the kids need is guidance and time. So that being said, all the way from 2014, by the end of 2014 to now, they have been kept busy with all these workshops, whether it is banking or capoeira lessons or how to treat animals. All these things eventually will help them to realize that community and society is not just one thing. It's all of us doing something to benefit the others. So now the hardest part is I need to go back and find individual mentors who will help each girl so that I can help each girl be integrated to society. I also need to explore other ideas, such as getting companies involved. This is something that is being done in Scotland already, where schools with privileged kids run projects and compete with companies to run the same project. So here we have adults from a company and kids from a privileged school, and with the same project, they compete to see who raises more funds. And that allows the company to create teamwork and competition, and it helps the kids to learn that they can do anything. What they do with the funds is then they fund other projects in other countries that are underprivileged, or in their own community, because in Scotland there are also underprivileged people. So that's one thing that I need to explore. And the second thing that I need to explore is finding a Canadian organization that may be willing to test this model and getting kids from 2 different countries to help each other. Because, again, a part of the sustainability that I want to implement is that we get the kids to work together, because we get older, and they get older too. So if kids are helping kids, it's more sustainable than if we, the ones who are going to die sooner, are helping kids. And thank you. That is all for today. I would love to hear any questions. I hope I was somewhat clear, but if I wasn't, I accept coffees and I accept dinners.